speak to this bill as a writer of books and fiction for 50 years and see how it applies actually to the internet. Fellow senators, to quote Irving Layton, whatever else, poetry is freedom. I was having dinner one night in the mid-'80s with J.D. Salinger's cousin. And I was invited to one Penn International conference where people, mainly tenured academics from Toronto, sat on stage and shouted at each other about who should be allowed to write what about whom. They were the authoritative cultural decision makers of Canada, many who had never written a book. I see them somewhat today in the angst over this bill. At that Penn International conference a while back, where they shouted and insulted one another about how inclusive they all were, they had cheapened and reversed Martin Luther King's great axiom in the name of freedom. I'm worried that this bill might do the same.
Are completely blacked out. Another email went to someone in the government the same day he's on the phone, but we don't know who received the email, that's blacked out, or what the email said.
Close to Dostoevsky and no social justice platform that can rise to the level of Chekhov or Tolstoy. All three writers who were banned in the Soviet Union by a government that believes supposedly in art and culture.
Why is independent journalism important for them as well?
I think this is what the Nobel Committee just highlighted, right? That facts are at the core of any democracy, that freedom of speech, freedom of expression is about being able to say what you think without fear of retribution. Spotlight that popularity easily turns into mob rule, but in the age of social media, you can't quite tell whether it's real or manufactured.
The Prime Minister actually shut down committees and indeed all of Parliament for almost 2 months to stop them from answering those questions.
Click on our Patreon link in the description down below to help this freedom of speech, because this is going to be a bigger issue going forward, as the Liberals have already stated the next bill will make C10 look like a kitten. So check this out. Check out our Patreon and check this. See ya.
Online content that a Canadian creates in Canada is Canadian content. Period. For the Liberal government to dictate which posts are visible and which ones are hidden based on some absurd rating of Canadianness is ridiculous. A TikTok dance, well, that's an 8 out of 10 in Canadianness, bump it up. Facebook post, 4 out of 10, bump it down. A tweet that promotes Liberal values, 10 out of 10, front page. If the Prime Minister genuinely wants to promote Canadian culture, why won't he let Canadians determine what that is?
C10 aims to level the playing field between creators and webkits. It requires big foreign streamers to provide information on their revenues in Canada, financially contribute to Canadian stories and music, and make it easier for individuals to discover our culture. Has chosen to act.
The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
Experts are saying otherwise. Canadian culture should be determined by the Canadian people, not the government. To censor online content based on a narrow definition of Canadianness is an attack on the artists that this Prime Minister claims he supports. But don't take my word for it. Shirley Joseph is an advocate for Black content creators. She says the definition of, quote, Canadian content discriminates against Black creators, and Bill C-10 will actually prevent them from being able to leverage their voice. Interesting. Doesn't sound like an attack on web giants. Will the Prime Minister finally give up on this unwanted internet czar campaign and back off?